Good morning and welcome to the Eric Cedarstrom Radio Network, the radio hour, the very best in conservative radio news entertainment. And this show is brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group, legal, lawful, constitutional tender. We're live from the Hole in the Ceiling studios in beautiful Deer Valley Air Park, Arizona, broadcasting through the internet, local here, Phoenix, KXXT, up at KHNC 1360 AM, Johnstown, Colorado. We are all over. We've got listeners all over the globe. And thank everybody for tuning in. The Patriot Trading Group, the only company I recommend. You can go to allamericangold.com, 24/7, 365, out on the information superhighway. And you can thumb through the pages there, for lack of better words. I guess you can click through the pages in today's paradigm that allows you to look at news and views, look at product, what they handle, pricing, order, quantities, volume discounts, you name it, they've got it all broken down. Go to allamericangold.com. You can also call the fine people right here in Deer Valley and do business face-to-face at 1-800-951-0592. Come on in with the thousands and thousands of people who have for the last quarter century. I'm joined with the CEO of Patriot Trading Group, Joe Jaquint, sitting across, also now the CEO of the American Freedom Network. Joe, you're doing a great job. How are you doing this morning on this last day of April?
I'm just in a great mood. I feel good. For the hay fever seemed to calm itself down. I feel a lot better today.
Got some rain last night.
Yeah.
Which, listen, I got to tell you, it is a godsend. Knocked all this junk out of the air. What a mess this place has turned into. You know, they used to tell you to move here. If you have allergies, if you have asthma, you know, and you were in Chicago or New York or, heck, North Dakota, you know, they're like, go to Arizona.
Well, even like the old days, like Doc Hollywood, I forget what he had, but they said, move to the desert, it's better for you. Even back then.
He had what I had, consumption, which means you drink too much. You know, today, if you die of consumption, I'm pretty sure the meaning has a whole lot different than tuberculosis. So
that was what they called it back then.
Yes, consumption. So very confusing. The Pentagon says the acting Defense Secretary, Patrick Shanahan, has approved a plan to send about 320 more troops to the U.S.-Mexican border to provide additional support, such as driving customs and border protection vehicles to transport migrants. They're not arresting them. What are they sending, limousines down there?
Long limousines, right. Just like that.
Yeah, and that's something.
EBT cards, just like that.
You know, they had an article in the Arizona Republic today about why they're taking them from Texas to Yuma, and Yuma's taking them to Phoenix. I'm like, well, why don't you just skip the step? Because Phoenix just lets them go, you know. So Yuma, they're supposed to transport them around. So, I mean, let's face it. If you come in here, you know, and you just show up from Guatemala or wherever you come in from, I mean, you're in for a long ride. They're busting you all over the place.
You're going to see a lot of the country. I wonder if our homeless people could just say, I want to seek asylum. You know, they can get hooked up.
You know, I think you're onto something there.
Right, they can get hooked up.
That would go that way. Right. Things not working out, you know, the sign that says, who am I kidding? I just want a beer.
I'm going to tell the truth.
Right. Okay. Just the buses have to be going back empty. Right. You could get on one.
Get on one. Go the other way.
I think that's awesome. You know, that's the opposite. The coyotes sneak them in. I'm going to get a bus and call it the Roadrunner. Take them back down that thing. So, anyway, the decision announced yesterday, well, last night actually, provides approval for a plan that the Pentagon, we talked about here last Friday's radio show. The Pentagon says the extra troop support will cost about $7.4 million. Right now, their original deployment is through September 30th. The decision allows the newly deployed troops to have contact with migrants when necessary to perform their tasks. In such cases, there are to be civilian Department of Homeland Security personnel nearby to conduct the law enforcement functions. So
that's a really fancy way of saying they're going to babysit.
Well,
I mean, really? I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what they're going to do? Okay, come on the bus and let me drive you over here. and here's an EBT card and a sack lunch.
It's sack lunch.
Right? What do they?
Nobody knows what they
put
get.
a video on. Right, Dora the Explorer or something like that playing on the bus. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these are families, right?
Right,
with kids.
Are they teaching them English on the ride? While they're what do they call the Rosetta Stone? They got some Rosetta Stone going on.
No, you know what's great? My son-in-law has a landscaping company, Pinkerton Pool and Landscape here in the Valley. If you're in the North Valley, you can go to the cedarstromgroup.com and email me or give me a call, and I'll get you hooked up and get the weeds out of your yard. We'll have Cody come do it for you. But it is amazing that where we're at in today's society have, the people rolling around, and the kids have to be entertained constantly. It's so weird. Like when you stop at a light, you're driving at night, and you see a Suburban in front of you, and not one, but two television sets. Two come down.
Well, you see, you live up in the Scottsdale area.
Right, they got two, yeah.
They get two.
And it just amazes me, that somehow, we were able to drive from Des Moines, Iowa to Scottsdale, Arizona in a car with 5 children and no television set, and the only thing on was an AM radio that played Judy in Disguise 800 times. If you ever took one of those AM car trips with your parents, the AM radio, and every time you get a new one, it plays the same song over and over. Oh, I'm dating myself. No, I mean literally. God bless all you guys. We'll be back after these messages. Hey, dumber than a stick and uglier than a mud fence. Eric Cedarstrom with Joe Jaquelin. The blind leads the stupid right here. Welcome, Phoenix audience. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy lives to allow us into them. We've been doing this for a long time. Some of us work harder than others, and I'm not going to say who, but I only took 4 years off.
Well, in fairness, you had a side hustle.
I did just about everything that you could think of, but I'm glad I did. Life's about experiences and getting out there but I told the story about my old yellow lab who it was a puppy at the time. I couldn't keep it in the yard, and I built a wall for it. You people know. The dog just keeps running away till one day it just disappears, and then it comes back up the drive one day. But, it's been gone a month, and I go, hey, that's my dog. And it's got a shock collar on, and it's been neutered. This is what happens when you go out and deal with the liberal public. It's rough out there. The gold business where you're ensconced in people that are like-minded, and these networks and conservative radio and Christians, and oh man, it's good to be back basking in your warmth and the hearth of kith and kin. The U.S. Border Patrol was disinvited from a job fair at a local college in San Jose, California, after a group of activists protested its planned presence and organized a rally during the fair. The spokesman for the San Jose City College told NBC Bay Area this week that the college canceled the invitation in light of current heightened tensions around immigration enforcement. What? Wait, this is the college? Got rid of the Border Patrol who's coming to do a job fair? Isn't this amazing? This is amazing to me. Well, we had the same thing down at University of Arizona where the students didn't feel safe with the Border Patrol
right, they
guys.
feel safe with these illegals, though.
Yeah, they interviewed some girl named Garcia.
I'm going to tell you right now, you know what they need to do at those colleges? Same thing we need to do with all the sanctuary cities. Hey, guess what? Let me know how you feel after I drop off about 10 bus loads and see if you change your mind.
This country know not what it do, because you're going to see a massive backlash of when they finally, the millions and millions and millions of illegals that are out there to do the jobs they're bringing in. Okay, the fertility rate for the Americans now is the lowest it's ever been. In other words, we're not having families. The millennials are not having families. They're just not making babies and, doing what the boomers did and what everybody in front of them did. They're not doing it. They don't want anything to do with it. And so now the babies are being born in Mexico. You got that right. The American babies are being born in Mexico, and they're coming here, and they're being greeted with open arms because someone has to do the work. Well, the issue, that's all fine and dandy, and everybody's happy, everybody's working, everyone's having a good time until, you just get to a point where there is no work. And, we've never seen that? What? Snap out of it, new guy. I mean, you look at it here, the economic cycles are still intact. They're going to call them credit cycles now instead of business cycles, but whatever you want to call it is fine with me. But the San Jose City College does not want Border Patrol at a job fair. Do you have any idea? They say they have trouble keeping people, but you understand that if you do 20 years as a Border Patrol guy, you're done. You're set for life. You've got pensions. You've got health care. You don't have to work. I mean, and if you do it right and spike your last year, and put all your
save up
you
don't take a vacation for like 3 years and then retire with it all. You're a high roller.
If you were hired in '99 to not arrest anybody, and right now you're retiring, all right, you've spiked your pension, you're $100,000 a year. You're golden. You're golden. This all started in the 90s. We were kids. A lot of you people in Arizona will know this. You go over to the coast, and I'm talking years ago, go over to California, and it's beautiful, Newport Beach, and that's, or the Hotel Del Coronado and in San Diego, and that's where everybody goes. But let's face it, it's real ritzy and it's expensive. And when you got kids, you're looking for, you got something a little bit cheaper than a $150 a night meal. So we found a place, the last beach in California, as far as you can go until you hit the border, is called Imperial Beach, California. And we first went there with a family of 5, I think, in 1969, and stayed at the Surfside 6. I just remember. I'm bringing up old vacations.
The Surfside 6.
The Surfside 6.
Did they leave a light on for you?
Oh, yeah, this was, just a dump. It was so bad that when you checked into this hotel, they stole your towels. Okay? It was bad. So, but it was, had a little kitchenette and a little greasy spoon across the street. There were hippies everywhere, that's where my dad took us, and it was great. So when my kids got older, I took them there. And this is in the 90s, and this is right with Clinton, and I'd been new in the gold business, and we're in the early to mid-90s, and I'm sitting there having coffee. And, I mean, you're on the Mexican border, and little hotel room right on the water. I mean, you're right there. You could fish from the balcony. And all of a sudden, I'm watching this herd of Hispanics just come up the beach, and I mean, it looks like the Pat Tillman run. Okay, it's what it looks like. So, and it's just they're 50 wide coming up the beach, and as far as you can see, and it's like 6:00 in the morning, and I'm sitting there drinking coffee, and here they come, these mass throngs, and just as fast as they were coming, they were gone. They just scatter, boom, and I'm like, well, that was interesting. There's no one to stop these people. Well, about 10 minutes later, here comes the green Bronco, pulls it out on the sand. So I walk down there, and I go, hey, Hutch, how are you doing? This guy cracked squat. I look at the guy. I said, if you were here about a half hour ago, there was about 500 of them came right up the beach. He goes, oh, yeah, they know I don't come to work till 8. That guy right there is now retired on $100,000 a year pension. Okay? Now, how bad a job is that? You would think that someone may want that job, but not according to Ryan Brown, the head of San Jose City College. He says, with everything that's gone on in the recent years around the issues of immigration and with Border Patrol and enforcement, that's just not something that we're comfortable with bringing them to our campus. An activist group, Dump Trump San Jose, has been encouraging followers for more than a week now to call the office of San Jose City College president to demand that the Border Patrol be banned from the job fair and future college events.
Yes, ban them. That's the answer, because we're about exclusivity.
We had our Phoenix police chief on television last night on the local news going, because you've got this rash of shootings and inexperienced officers, she's going. They killed a guy yesterday who has a fake gun. He's got a plastic gun, hiding it. Listen, you people, I'm going to give you a tip, all right? If the cops are after you, do not, and I repeat, do not point a plastic gun at them.
I would just go with don't point at them at all.
Well, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, they call that officer-assisted suicide is what they call it. So, which is probably what he was doing. But so they have the gal on, and the police chief says, "Well, I don't know. We can't keep him." Says the minute the police get, and go look it up. It's on Channel 10 or whatever. Last night's interview. She says, whenever they get to 20 years, they quit.
Go figure.
Go figure. They're set for life.
Because they know, hey, sooner or later that pension's not going to be there. I'm getting mine while I can.
Oh, yeah, they're getting out while the getting's good. So, they spiked it. They did everything. They didn't take a vacation for the last 3 years. And, in California, it's so bad. Well, I have to tell you guys, the public safety pensions are now bigger than the payrolls. I mean, in other words, they're paying retirees more than they're paying the current cops and the guys that are working. So the new ones now, they're getting a minimum wage and no pensions, and that all eventually is going to work its way out. I'll be dead and you'll be dead, but eventually, after the country files bankruptcy 100 times, there aren't going to be any pensions left anyway. So it's just a mess. But I mean, how can you have this? And how can they get you're head of a city college, all right? You're on the taxpayers' money, and a taxpayer-funded organization comes in to speak, and you don't let them?
A government agency wants to host a job fair, and you don't let them?
At another government agency?
Right.
This is how bad it's getting. I got to tell you, that's
wow.
You're listening to the Patriot Radio News Hour, the Eric Cedarstrom Experience. This is hour 1, by the way, of hour 3. You can follow along the next 2 hours if you go to allamericangold.com. What do they click on?
Click on. You can do 2 different things. We got a listen live button on the right-hand side. You can click on that and then click on 1360 KHNC, or we've got the KHNC icon on the right-hand side with the American flag next to it, or you can just say, hey, I'm just going to Google 1360KHNC.com, and boom, hit the play button. We're right there.
Authorities in California have arrested a U.S. military veteran after they said he made plans to launch a terror attack involving several targets. The man, identified as a 26-year-old Mark Stevens Domingo, lives in Reseda, California, and is an Army veteran who converted to Islam. He was arrested Friday night and told investigators his plot was in response to the recent attacks on 2 mosques in New Zealand. He was snared in a sting operation, by the way, with an undercover law enforcement officer. This guy, again, another crack, brilliant terrorist. He actually contracted with the FBI to have them build his bombs. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah, well, I don't know. FBI was a government agent, so pick one. So, yeah, so he's like, yeah, okay, here's your bombs. They give him the fake bombs and arrest him. So, I don't know. Of course, converting to Islam and Muslim, that is the goal, That is their goal. You can see it anywhere. That's their mission statement, to convert every one of us Christians here in the United States to be a nation of Islam supporting Muslim. That's what they want. So, and they're not, making any bones about it. Hey, you got to get your mission statement out there. They're going to have a little trouble with this group. Trump's under siege, right now by the New York governor and attorney general. Have you seen this gal? She's really something. What's her name? Letitia James, the New York attorney general. She's now opened up an investigation into the NRA's tax-exempt status. I'm not kidding you.
One way or another, they're going to get those guns.
It's amazing. So this gal, Letitia, New York attorney general. Wow. These elections go on, early appointments, too. I mean, a lot of political correct appointments, and the Peter principle has never applied more than it does right now. People rising to their own level of incompetence. Well, look, I got a radio show, so I just played so long. But anyway, they open it. I mean, are you kidding me? This is what you're going after, the NRA's tax-exempt status? They've been tax-exempt longer than Letitia's been alive, using letters to top NRA officials and affiliated groups to preserve financial records before issuing subpoenas to some of the NRA's related businesses. This follows a legal battle between the NRA and the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo over the group's insurance program, Carry Guard, which is intended to help pay legal fees for people who have shot a weapon in self-defense. The NRA is under siege by Cuomo and the New York State's Letitia's attorney general. who are illegally using the state's legal apparatus to take down and destroy this very important organization. Trump tweeted Monday morning, it must get its act together quickly and stop the internal fighting and get back to greatness fast. By the way, there is an article I saw on Drudge this morning about that Letitia is also going at Deutsche Bank, and apparently she has succeeded in obtaining some of Trump's financial records, some of his credit applications. Now, I can't see where they could make that public domain, except a lot of Trump's buildings that he put in, he got some city concessions, which is normal.
Right.
Tax concessions.
We'll give you some tax breaks.
Right.
You're going to build this hotel and employ this many people.
Right.
You don't have to pay this, or we'll kick you back that.
Which is normal business. And I think once you accept that, I think those financial records could be public domain. So, but I'm not sure, but I think so. So, they once you accept one part of the beast, you have to accept the whole thing. My wife's family are farmers. And her father refused to ever take any government crop insurance, anything government. He goes, Eric, because once you do that, they can walk right on your property. It's halftime, hour one. Eric and Joe will be back after these messages.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily look at the significant issues of our time from an experienced conservative perspective. Sponsored by Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, this broadcast continues the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly and stands against forces that mock traditional values, slander America, and redefine the family. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
The far left is taking over the Democrat Party, and it looks like they won't stop the takeover until they've created a repeat of their landslide defeat in the 1972 presidential election. In 72, a vulnerable Richard Nixon trounced the liberal George McGovern because of his open embrace of leftist principles. This time, it looks like the dirty word is Green New Deal, and the Democrats cannot wait to embrace it. The radical Green New Deal illustrates how the so-called progressives, which is actually a euphemism for socialists, are driving the agenda for the Democrat Party today. The Green New Deal scheme tries to convert nearly all of our energy to wind, water, and solar power within a decade. To put that in context, right now only about 10% of our energy needs are met by the inefficient wind and solar resources. President Trump was quick to mock this loony plan. In front of a massive crowd of supporters in El Paso, Texas, Trump declared that, "I really don't like their policy of taking away your car, of taking away your airplane rights, of let's hop a train to California, of you're not allowed to own cows anymore." With classic Trump wit, he added, "It would shut down a little thing called air travel. How do you take a train to Europe?" He could have added that the Green New Deal will take away many American jobs by hindering economic growth. Wind and solar power are more expensive than energy based on traditional fossil fuels, such as coal and oil. These higher costs limit economic growth. To everyday Americans like you and me, the idea of doing everything outlined in the Democrats' Green New Deal is somewhere between ridiculous and laughable. However, to the swamp creatures in Washington, D.C., who care only about what the other politicians and lobbyists think, it sounds like a great idea. That's why it's so important that we make our voices heard by standing up against the Green New Deal. The crazies on the left have given us a golden opportunity to expose their out-of-touch callousness. Let's not stop until they cannot hide behind their lies anymore.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. What's the best way to rekindle the spirit of Phyllis Schlafly and the grassroots movement she energized? In this digital age, patriots and pro-family Americans can find insight and inspiration on our website, phyllisschlafly.com. Then share your own heart and mind on social media. So join us at phyllisschlafly.com and every weekday for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to the Eric Strom Radio News Hour, brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. The Patriot Radio News Hour, we've all merged together. Joe's working hard to put radio, most conservative radio network with the best conservative radio entertainment. And it actually, seems to be working, so something's wrong. So I'm a catastrophist. My family reminds me of that constantly. So the glass is not half full or half empty. The glass is busted, made in China, leaking, and will fall apart any minute. And the water's going to be all over the floor. I mean, this is just, it's who I am. And it's how I ran my business and how I run my life. So I still, I was talking, believe it or not, with Lindsey Williams on Saturday or Sunday.
Wow.
We talked for probably an hour. Lindsey's in his 80s now, but still just spry and wonderful, wonderful man. It was so nice to call him. I just had the greatest conversation with him and just enjoyed it. We've all been around a while here. So, but yesterday, and I bring this all up, I don't know why, because sometimes I just get to babbling and being a catastrophist. That's what I was talking about. Right. That I said to him, if you want to hear God laugh, announce your plans out loud. And I still believe that, so a lot of us, you grow up school of hard knocks. Anyway, Monday, Bernie Sanders, he piped up. Now, remember I did a show a couple weeks ago, did an article about Abigail Disney. Abigail Disney saying Iger, the CEO's $65 million salary is horrible, and they need to go back and pay. They got to pay the minimum wage workers at Disney. They need to get at least $15 an hour.
Right, and they were behind Avengers, right, the one that just grossed $1.2 billion, so now people are calling on what Abigail Disney said.
Well, Sanders started it yesterday. He said, yes, the end game, the record-breaking opening weekend to pay all employees, to take those funds and pay all employees a middle-class wage. So there is
so like $40 an hour then.
So here's what happens. This is what people don't understand, okay? If there's no low class, okay, because they did a study, if you're not working and you're getting an Obama phone, which they still have, and you're getting EBTs for food stamps, and you're getting Section 8 housing, it worked out to like $18 an hour is what it worked out to. So, to work for $7 made absolutely no sense. And when you can live at home in your parents' basement and have all these things, this is one of the reasons this generation is not going out and reproducing or buying homes. So now I told you, I've been telling you now back on the air for 2 months here that the wage pressures in this country from the lying about inflation. I mean, I sat here for a quarter century, and they, where we watched vehicles go, from 20,000 to 100,000, but yet no inflation. There's been no inflation. The price of homes are just off the charts. The price of food, fuel. I mean, it's just gone parabolic, but yet no inflation. It's minimum wage still $7 an hour. They haven't adjusted Social Security payments for anybody. So you've got this tremendous built-up momentum that's coming. It's going to be an economic cycle that you can't believe. And whether the dollar holds up or not under this paradigm where, wages and everybody getting pulled up, so you've got everybody in the middle class now, that means there is no lower class. Minimum wage is now the middle class? No. What, you think the Arabs don't have computers and televisions? They're like, well, if they're going to pay $15 an hour, they'd sure pay $8 a gallon for gas, wouldn't they?
I just driving to work today, gas jumped another 6 cents.
Yeah, I got my eye on an electric car. I just don't know how to get a long enough extension cord to drive it here. But, when we were kids, we used to make go-karts out of everything. My brothers and I, we were the MacGyvers. My older brother, God rest his soul, took my little pedal car. Remember, kids used to get pedal cars? I had one, the Fireball was red. And we took the lawnmower engine and mounted it in the back and hooked it up and actually drove it. I mean, it didn't have any brakes, and you couldn't put your feet anywhere near the pedals because it would take it off, but it still had the blade underneath. So now this was in Iowa where everybody's got, these old Victorian homes with these big yards. And you could tell whenever my brother took off in the go-kart and went through people's yards, there was just this long mower swath going over. And
he mowed just one little piece of the yard.
Oh, yeah, just going through the neighbors. But, oh, yeah. Now, today, I mean, I can tell you right now, if this was to happen all over again, we would make a car out of the dryer. we'd get the electric motor, figure out a way to get it going, but and then I would be a nice, 20, 30 years from now, I'd be a nice liberal doing a radio show on NPR. But anyway, Bernie, the Vermont senator and presidential candidate, linked to Bloomberg's article on the superheroes film opening weekend box office returns with the 1.2. What would be truly heroic, according to Bernie. And again, Bernie, did you listen to Biden at all yesterday? Did you listen to his?
No.
His speech, horrific. Probably one of the top 5 worst speeches I've ever heard.
They're never going to win with him.
The other 4 belong to me. I mean, sputtering. Here you got firefighters talking about wages. Okay, you're talking to union government employee firemen who's supporting him about low wages. Are you kidding me? And he called himself, here I made a note, he called himself Old Man Joe.
You got that right.
It's going to be you, sir. Soon, yeah. But anyway, you're everyday Joe. But the Old Man Joe, just a working guy, he tried to do a homer on him, like, oh, I'm just an everyday guy. But your wage, he gave this whole horrible pitch that made no sense at all for the audience that he was talking to. I'm here to tell you, turn your page, ladies and gentlemen, of your scorecards, because he has no chance.
You think the firefighters union right now, people aren't calling, going, what the heck did you just do?
And you want more wages? You get $100,000 a year to retire to get cats out of trees, and you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they work hard. I don't like to talk bad. Firemen are very heroic people. Anyway, what would be truly heroic, according to Mr. Sanders, if Disney took its profits from the Avengers, instead of paying its CEO, Bob Iger, $65.6 million, which is 1,400 times more than the average worker at Disney makes. Sanders, he's obviously a critic. He wants everybody to get $15 minimum wage. I'm telling you, it's going to be 20, at least 20 by the debates, maybe 25. He's got to up that. So
Disney can't be that far off from paying that already.
Yeah, I mean, California, they got to be paying that. So and then the Disney heiress, Abigail Disney, when her piped up at the Millionaires Club is where she was speaking. I kid you not. She's a member of this, come on. You think she could even turn on a roller coaster, let alone talk about how to run the park? So,
by 2021, Disney already announced a long time ago they're going to be paying $15 an hour.
There you have it. $25 an hour coming near you. Hey, you're listening to Patriot Radio News Hour. Eric Cedarstrom, Joe Jaquin. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Working hard to get the news out to you, and we try not to waste your time. This show is brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group, the only company I recommend. Not only am I a customer, but I used to own it. You can reach them at 1-800-951-0592. Always take advantage. Whenever you get pullbacks here, you got markets that, the Wall Street mantra's running. They're all talking about the recession. I mean, I did an article this week that the recessions are not coming ever again. The whole thing's all starting up. Now they've got liar loans back in the real estate industry. They have bank statement loans. You got a credit score and a bank statement. And it's interesting. There is a formula. I play golf with Jerry Hassler. He's a mortgage wholesaler here in Phoenix. Super sharp guy. You people in the industry probably know him. He's been around a long time. That there's a formula that they have where whatever your bank statement is, they take X amount. It's a percentage. So much percentage for payments, so much percentage for overhead. They have it. That you don't give it to them. They have it. Whatever's left, that's what you qualify for. So you don't need to do your tax returns. And believe it or not, I think that mortgage only carries about a 1/4 to 3/4 point bump over a full doc mortgage. So anyway, it's all out there. It's all happened again. And they got to do something to perpetuate this. They tried to raise interest rates 1% or 1 full point, I guess. Lack of 1 full basis point from 3.9 to 4.9 last Christmas. It absolutely annihilated the stores, the real estate market, the car business. I mean, it just ate it up. The president's going, I don't know what, let's got to get this Powell guy out of here. Don't worry, the new guy coming in, he's a Trump guy. And I think, Kudlow says it right. You're not going to see any more.
We're never going to raise rates again.
In his lifetime. Of course, he's 72. So this is a question or a story. I broke this story a month ago, but it's back in the news again. You've got, I think, a meatless burger company going public or something coming up here. But Burger King's parent, Restaurant Brands International, is still going ahead with its launch of its meatless Impossible Whopper nationwide later this year. Burger King making non-beef. I mean, this is right out of the AOC playbook. You people listening up in Colorado, the cows, man. The cows are like, yeah, this is the best thing I ever heard of. They're planning vacations and everything. You're not going to need me anymore. So anyway, yeah, the meatless Whopper. It's called the Impossible Whopper. The only thing that's going to be impossible is going to be impossible to sell. So we're not seeing guests swap the original Whopper for the Impossible Whopper. The CEO said on the Monday morning call, the move will be in keeping with dining trends. Now, 1/3 of all Americans and 37% of all millennials plan to eat more plant-based products over the next year. I eat plant-based products. I eat salad, once a month.
Do some of these millennials think that smoking weed is eating more plant-based products?
That's probably, yeah. That's good for you again. See, everything comes full circle. And 1959 was the highest reading, because everything's adjusted, highest reading for consumer confidence ever in the history of this country. You look at 59 Cadillac with 8-foot-high fins, and you look at the jute boxes, and every car had tons and tons of chrome, and everybody was happy, and cigarettes were good for you. Well, now they're telling us consumer confidence is back up high, and weed's good for you. Get in there. Oh, and coffee. Remember coffee? Coffee was evil. Coffee was on its way out in this country. I mean, everybody wrote about caffeine will kill you. It's bad for your heart, blah, blah, blah. Starbucks goes public. Bada boom, bada bing. Coffee's the best thing in the world.
It's wonderful.
So, about a quarter of the United States population, many of whom aren't vegan or vegetarian, say they eat and drink plant-based beverages and food. I don't think I might drink, I guess lemonade, as well as animal protein on a regular basis. NPD Group wrote in January report, among the reasons why plant-based proteins have mainstreamed is that consumers, in addition to adding protein to their diets, perceive them as being better for you. So, yeah, the millennials and all this stuff, these, I got to tell you, they are a conundrum. You ever sit and listen to them, which, I try to, I have daughters and, anyway. How about this one? Militia leader, he's a militia leader now, Larry Mitchell Hopkins, should remain behind bars pending his trial on a federal weapons charge, a judge ruled Monday. This is the guy who was trying to guard America at the border. U.S. Magistrate Judge Karen B. Mosen ordered that Hopkins remain detained because clear and convincing evidence indicated no condition or combination of conditions of release will reasonably assure the safety of any other person and the community. In other words, he may head back down to the border and try to guard it again. The judge listed a number of additional factors as reasons for her decision, including Hopkins' use of aliases, his criminal history, his prior failure to appear in court, and his probation violations. Yeah, maybe you don't want to let this guy out. Hopkins is in charge of being a felon in possession of firearms and ammunition. He pleaded not guilty at a hearing in Albuquerque and on Monday and requested release from custody. According to court records, the judge has denied the request. Monday's hearing was delayed after authorities evacuated the courthouse for a time because of what U.S. Marshal Services later described as a safety issue.
If he had been doing this in reverse, instead of trying to detain illegals, if he was trying to detain the Border Patrol, I'm sure he'd already be released by now.
He'd be speaking at San Jose State University this weekend about how evil the Border Patrol is. But anyone that has an IQ higher than room temperature would know you probably don't want to go down there right now.
No.
So, Hey, final segment, hour one. We'll be back after these messages. Really appreciate you spending your morning with us. Joe and Eric will be back. Hey, you're listening to the Patriot Radio News Hour, the Eric Cedar-Strum Radio Experience, hour one here, Monday through Friday, coming to a radio station near you as this just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Boeing acknowledged that their cockpit alert notifying pilots of a sensor malfunction linked to 2 fatal accidents wasn't working as represented on every 737 MAX. The plane maker said it didn't purposely deactivate a warning meant to show if 2 angle of attack vanes providing conflicting data to aircraft flight computers, but the alert only functioned if operators purchased a separate optional indicator.
Whoopsie.
Boeing said. Now, what do they get for a plane?
100 mil?
100 mil? For $100 million and $5, we can throw that in there. No, I don't want the undercoating. I don't want
the extended warranty.
No pinstriping, just a basic 737 MAX for me, I'm on a budget. By the way, Airbus passed them in plane deliveries today.
Listen, there's trouble there. The Boeing announcements, like everything else, the farther you get into it, you start learning. Boeing knew. They knew. They didn't want to tell everybody. And now they're in damage control, and the farther they dig in, you find out about, this wasn't turned on, and we turned this off, and we didn't tell people, and, the feature that would have saved the lives of all those people was an extra charge,
Optional.
That doesn't look real good.
No, they've got some problems here. Matter of fact, it could get so bad for the planes, they may have to do the same thing they did with the car business. They're going to have cash for crashers, so you can turn them in and get overvalue for them. You can trade it in. So, yes, no money down on your new Boeing plane. But anyway, a lot of people, if you really look at it, though, the news that Airbus has passed them, Airbus, majority of them are puddle jumpers,
right.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to,
kind of apples. And really what you got to be worried about is China and their commercial aircraft.
Right.
And thankfully, China's probably 5 or 10 years at least away from being able to really compete full stream with Boeing. So I guess if it was going to happen, better that happen today than like 10 years from today.
Apparently the disagree alert, which this is sad. I don't want to make light of this, but it is ridiculous. This is corporate America. The disagree alert. You people, we should have one of these on our show. When you're sitting there listening with your family, we do something, hits the button. I disagree. You can fight with everybody. I think we're on to something. We disagree. But anyway, the disagree alert. So you got the plane, 2 angle of attack vanes. You pilots would know whatever that is. So I guess, up, down, or whatever. The plane self-adjusts. Most of the time, these jumbo jets are on autopilot. Do you know that? I mean, they're on.
Well, this is what was happening: is they would take off, put it on autopilot, and then the autopilot decided, let's go into a nosedive.
This is amazing. So the disagree alert was intended to be a standard standalone feature on MAX airplanes. The company said, however, the disagree alert was not operable on airplanes because the feature was not activated. Yes, it's extra. Man, the disclosure adds a new mystery about the design. A lot of people, you people that are out there, and I hear from you, and I know who you are. I see you out there. You got your helmets on. You're down in your basement listening. A lot of people think these planes were hacked. So
the tractor beam was engaged.
Yeah, the disagree alert, I don't know. That's pushing it. Hey, this is hour one. Follow us on over. 2 more hours of fun and frolic with the socio-economic destruction of America. You can now return your seats to upright position and turn off your disagree light.